Gilmore Girls Aesthetic is quaint and quirky Americana, like a postcard come to life. Lorelai and Rory's house specifically is a classic New England style farmhouse full of eclectic, feminine, and cozy touches. It's clearly been collected over the years from yard sales and hand-me-downs, and of course, the occasional piece purchased under Mrs. Kim's intimidating stare. Honestly, their house just feels like a warm hug. Slightly messy, endlessly warm, and layered with sentimental knickknacks. So today we've got our coffee, and we've got our Rory sweater on, and we are going thrifting for the Gilmore Girls aesthetic. If you are new here, welcome. This is actually my third installment of Thrifting the Aesthetic. So far we have done You've Got Mail and Practical Magic, both of which were so fun. And before I get started, I always like to dig into what it is that we'll be on the hunt for while we're thrifting. There are quite a few homes and spaces within the show, but we will be mostly focusing on Lorelai and Rory's home and just generally the Stars Hollow aesthetic. Obviously, Emily and Richard's home is like their own thing. And honestly, I could do a whole video just on Suki's home too, because it is such a vibe. But like I said, we're focusing more on Lorelai and Rory's house today. When it comes to furniture, Lorelai clearly has a love for old wood pieces. You see lots of wood dressers and desks and wardrobes throughout the entire house. In the first couple seasons, we definitely see an eclectic mix of furniture within the house. So we have all of those beautiful wood pieces, but definitely some things that feel a little bit more yard saley, like some chippy wood furniture, as well as wicker pieces kind of thrown in and mixed in. And it's just a very eclectic mix. Whereas in the later seasons, when we see Lorelai and Luke renovate the house, it definitely becomes a little bit more polished, definitely a lot more true antique furniture, and it definitely just feels a lot more cohesive and a little bit more put together than that super eclectic mix that we see in those first couple seasons. But there's always a balance, so she's always pairing those beautiful wood pieces back to super cozy pieces like overstuffed couches and armchairs. The Gilmore Girls definitely love a lamp. I'm willing to bet that they have a rule that they don't ever turn on the big light and that it absolutely drives Emily crazy. So we will definitely be on the hunt for lamps, all types of lamps. They have everything from really traditional classic style lamps to more sort of eclectic fun lamps. It's definitely clear that this is a girls house with lots of feminine touches like lace curtains and cozy quilts. There's also a lot of pattern mixing from florals and stripes to plaids, but it hasn't been overthought, just continuously layered throughout the years. And of course, Lorelai loves a nostalgic touch, from retro appliances to 80s and 90s collectibles, finding fun and sentimental pieces that speak to her whimsical soul. So that is what we are going to be on the hunt for today. So cheers and let's go thrifting. We really started off strong with one of the first things I found being this bed sheet that has dragonflies and florals all over it, which does it not just make you think of the Dragonfly Inn, of course? Another space that honestly I could do an entire video about. This floral ruffly comforter also feels very Lorelai to me, and tell me that a Smurfs quilt is not the epitome of Gilmore Girls. I can just see it thrown over on that big cozy couch in their living room. And speaking of quilts, I just love this sort of 90s bandana style quilt, and I can totally see it in Rory's room. And speaking of cozy blankets, I just recently noticed that there's quite a few of these crochet style blankets sort of thrown throughout the house. These didn't actually appear to be real wood to me, but I think the style is still there, and especially if you mix them with some super cozy elements, they would really give you that Gilmore Girls vibe. And this desk also reminded me of quite a few pieces that you see sort of scattered throughout the house. And like I mentioned before, we have to talk about lamps because there are just so many lamps in the Gilmore Girls house. I really love this blue floral one. I also think these more traditional antique styles are something that I could totally see Lorelai collecting as well. Of course, I don't think that a bad coffee cup exists in the Gilmore Girls universe unless it's too small, but I think that these are a good size, and for our snow-loving Lorelai, she might just love the snowmen. I I thought this floral teapot was just so charming and so adorable, and it would fit right into Lorelai's girly vintage kitchen. More dragonflies. I don't know what kind of magic was going on at the thrift store that day, but clearly they knew I was coming with this intention. I think I mentioned this in my You Got Mail video, but I am so here for the return of overstuffed 90s couches. I mean, these are just so much cozier than the ones I've seen for sale these days, and is this not the perfect Gilmore Girls couch? And then I saw this vintage Singer sewing machine, which is just perfect for what we're looking for, because if you haven't noticed before, there is this vintage sewing machine that sits in the back of their kitchen in almost every shot. I always think about how Lorelai talked about collecting the Spice Girls plates, and so I just think this classic 80s, 90s chia head would be something that she would just love. And of course, lacy curtains. If you pay attention, almost every room in their house has lacy curtains, so the thrift store is definitely a goldmine for those. I couldn't help but think of Taylor's old-fashioned ice cream shop when I saw these adorable vintage-style ice cream glasses. This buffet is another lovely sort of traditional wood piece that I think would look very Lorelai Gilmore paired back with some super cozy elements. I also came across a collection of these coffee cups in all different colors, but they were the same style and they reminded me so much of the ones that Luke has at Luke's Diner. I've seen this cookie jar at this thrift store a couple times, and I think that Lorelai would actually love it because she has her own goofy little grandma cookie jar in her kitchen, so why not? Thank you so much for coming with me today. This was definitely maybe a little bit more challenging than I thought. I think I thought that Practical Magic would be harder than Gilmore Girls, but for some reason I found this one just a little bit more challenging. Maybe that's just what the thrift store had today. It was just not overflowing with the particular Gilmore Girls aesthetic, but I definitely do think that we found a lot of fun stuff. And I hopefully at least tried to highlight things that, like, if you're on the search for that aesthetic, you can definitely keep your eyes out for. Because I definitely do feel like generally I see a lot of Gilmore Girls style stuff at the thrift store. So it's definitely out there, but some days the thrift stores just, they've got what they've got. And I will definitely be continuing with this series. So if you have more ideas, I know you guys have given me just tons of amazing ideas, and I have a nice long list that I am working through and some really fun fall ones specifically that I'm so excited for. I love to see what you guys come up with because some of the ideas that you guys have pitched to me are just so much fun, and you guys are so creative. Honestly, you're amazing. Thank you again for watching. You guys are the best. Hope you are having a lovely day, and I will see you next time.